Alrighty, everyone. Welcome to the Cinema Asylum podcast. This is a special episode where we will be interviewing Claire Llewellyn. Claire, how are you doing tonight?
I'm good, thanks. How are you? Keeping cool?
We're trying our best to stay cool, but it's not working that well. I can tell you that much.
Yeah, I just turned the AC off because it was a little noisy, but yeah, it's a tad warm.
Oh yeah. Whereabouts are you calling in from?
Chicago.
Okay.
You're on the East Coast?
Yeah, we're actually not too far away. We're just over in Indiana.
Oh, okay. Are you still in the Central Time Zone, or are you the hour off?
We are Eastern time zone.
Okay.
All right, well, we have a few things that we would like to ask you, a few things that we would like to discuss with you and help you promote. The first thing that I would like to discuss, just purely because I'm a poetry guy, I would love to discuss your poetry. Can you tell us a little bit more about your poetry, how you got started, when you got started?
Sure. Well, I've been a writer for most of my life. I know that sounds really cliche and corny, but when I was at primary school, a long time ago, back in the UK, we were taught traditional rhyming scheme. And our children's favourite back then was the revolting rhymes by Roald Dahl. If you're familiar with his film adaptations, he did Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Matilda, The Witches, and all that good stuff. He also did some darker, more adult themed entertainment too. But yeah, he wrote children's poetry, and I guess is in a similar format, if you like. Someone who was popular in the US was Shel Silverstein.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And I guess a band that I really enjoyed was Dr. Hook, and they used a lot of Shel wrote lyrics for them, or they used his poetry, or vice versa. And that was like fun stuff, not necessarily creepy children's themes, but so I like to rhyme, and I find it kind of natural in a way. It's quite, I don't want to say easy, because I feel that writing an intelligent rhyme and not just picking what rhymes with so and so and nonsensical stuff because I don't do drugs is actually quite difficult, and you need to be able to use a thesaurus and a dictionary, that's for sure, which the internet makes a lot easier for you nowadays. Something that always used to trip me up over here was the difference between English and American English, not only in grammar and spelling, but meanings of words.
Yeah.
And also pronunciation, because that makes a huge difference, because you can rhyme with sound-alikes, not necessarily in spelling. So there are a lot. So it actually opened up more channels to me to rhyme, because I would mix and match. I would do English, I would do American English, even though I try and stick more to grammar and spelling of English. I will use American phraseology, and it's made things a little more accessible, I would say, for my audience, even though some may get confused if they're not Anglophiles. Oh, you've spelt that wrong. No, I've spelt it the English way. So, but so it's made things interesting, shall we say? Yeah, and I'm a waffler, as you you can tell already. So I have two poetry books published on Amazon. One is a horror-themed one, Love is a Killer, which is my bestseller, and then one that's a bit of everything. and that one also has some dark humor in a end section called the laughter section. And I also did a book for an illustrated poetry book while I was in lockdown in the UK on a visit during the pandemic. A story about babysitting my nephews, and we used that to raise money for charity, for the NHS, and for charities over here. And it was illustrated by 15 different artists around the world who donated their time and their art to illustrate that.
That's really cool. I could would you be willing to talk a little bit more about each book, like detail, like obviously you gave like the brief like idea of, but what potential buyers would find, I guess, like a brief example or maybe recite something, possibly.
Sure. I mean, the first book, I'm going to pull this up on my computer. I don't have copies with me because I'm on a dog sit right now. But I have the file on my computer. The first one is called Love as a Killer. Like I said, it's horror themed, and it's broken down into 3 segments, and it's based on the theme of love, but with a dark twist. So the first segment is about the human condition. And then the second segment is, hang on, what is it? The second segment is about serial killers, the psychopaths. And the third segment is on classic monsters.
Okay, cool.
That's right up my alley because my role in the podcast is I'm the horror expert. So I'm certainly very interested in that. And whenever I write horror, I tend to write dark serial killer themes, as the other boys here now know because they saw my first movie. So that sounds absolutely amazing. And you said that your books are available on Amazon, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Yeah, we would love to share your links so that we can hopefully help you get some more sales because that sounds amazing. I'm a poetry guy, I'm a horror guy, so right up my alley there.
Yeah, we'll go and share the links right on the podcast page.
Awesome. Yeah, I will Facebook message you the links over when we're done. Yeah, I can certainly do a read for you. Obviously, a horror one would be more up your alley, and I presume you prefer the psychopath section.
That would be amazing. I'm going to be like a kid in a candy store right now.
I'm just trying to pull it up here. Bear with me a second. Okay, this one is just the easiest one that's accessible right now. Let's see if this file will open up and be complete. My folders are a little scattered like my brain.
I feel that with my scripts, I'm the very same way.
I'm just that way all the time.
Okay, this is opened up. Is it complete? Let me see. So this one is basically about a stalker. Okay, yes, this is complete. So this is from the book. Why I say it's complete is I have different files in different degrees of where I was at before I put it into the book, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so this is called Deadly Devotion. If I told you I'd kill for you, what would you say? Would you be horrified and walk away? Or would you give me a list of enemies to dispatch? Touched by my loyalty, a true lover's match. If I told you I'd die for you, what would you do? Would you ask me to prove my words were true? Would you give me a gun and tell me to fire into my heart or be proven a liar? These questions go round and round in my head as I secretly watch you prepare for bed. Would my love for you be returned, or would you run and leave me stunned? How does one prove a love so intense without the need for legal defense, when your intended shows only resistance despite your ever-loving persistence? I watch you daily with admiration. My love for you is my fixation. You say I have a mental disorder. You slapped me with a restraining order. But that won't stop my deadly devotion. For your love, I'd swim any ocean. Yet to you, I'm some psychotic stranger who brings you only fear and danger. I long to feel your soft embrace and pledge my love face to face. But for that moment, I'll have to wait and hope that you will take the bait. A simple disguise is all I require. Then you'll be the object of my desire. You'll see how exquisite my love can be and beg for love to set you free. For there can be no other outcome here. My love, let's make this clear. If I can't have you, no one can. I'm your possessive, obsessive, #1 fan.
I really like that.
Oh,
Jesus Christ. That was really well done.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
love it.
Out of curiosity, have you considered making this into an audiobook?
That has kind of been a plan for this was published a few years ago, and that's been on my to-do list, and it's something I would like to do, because some people do struggle reading poetry to get the right rhythm, and a lot of people like my accent. And I also have a friend who's very good at impersonations of classic horror stars like Bela Lugosi, etc. And for the classic monsters segment, I think he would add something to that. It'd be great. So I'm planning to do that. Yeah.
Well, that sounds amazing. That I look forward to that, because I don't get to read as much as I would like to because I'm dyslexic. So reading is a bit of a challenge for me,
Yeah.
which is funny, being that I love to read. But yeah, to kind of segue a little bit into film, we know that you write poetry. Do you also write scripts, or are you more just in the acting realm?
I write my own scripts. I've written quite a few, and I have a backlog of at least 20 on my plate, and my brain just doesn't switch off. I'm coming up with ideas all the time, but I'm a slow writer. I have a few shorts that we've managed to produce, film, and kind of get out there. I have a feature on Tubi called Hobo with a Trash Can,
Okay.
which is an anthology, and I have 5 other directors on that, and I gave them all an item of trash and a $1 budget to be as creative as possible and come up with a story centered around that item of trash. And I wrote and we filmed in Chicago the wraparound, and to pull it all together. And the first segment, Brian Saucer, I wrote, and my film partner Christopher Kaler directed that, and he's also the titular hobo of the piece. And so when he picks up certain items of trash, he has a vision that segues into each segment that involves that item.
That sounds very interesting. You said this is on Tubi?
Yeah.
We will definitely have to sit down and check this one out.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Definitely.
I can send you the link to that too.
That would be phenomenal. I really like the premise. To my knowledge, and I might be wrong in saying this, I've never seen it, at least, where somebody quite did it that way, where they gave somebody an item for inspiration to just kind of go crazy with, and a $1 budget.
Yeah.
I've done $1 budget stuff before, so I can definitely appreciate that, and I can't wait to check this out. So you have another project coming up called The Ripper Legacy.
Before we talk about that, I have another project that's actually completed, which is about to screen, actually, called A Deadly Double Dose.
Okay, yeah, I would love to hear more about that for sure.
And and my distributor for Hobo will pick this up for digital distribution. So this will end up on Tubi at some point, hopefully by the end of this year or early next year. And the idea behind this was two of my older shorts. The first film I ever made, Conscience, back in 2009. It was released in 2011, which is like 35 minutes, which is a long short. And then another film I did in about 2014 called Director's Cut, which again is around the 35-minute mark. They still hold up. They're still pretty decent. I mean, they're not perfect. As budget constraints and learning, etc. But I still think they're pretty damn good, and they deserve like a wider audience. So to do that, you really need it in a feature format to be able to get on platforms such as Tubi. They don't do shorts. So I wrote a wraparound to encompass these two movies. So to make a feature out of them, which is A Deadly Double Dose is the title of the feature. And the wraparound is a launch party. So like a wrap party, premiere party for these two movies. And I play this diva actress character as I'm in both of the short films. And so it's this Hollywood-esque party. And I'm introducing the two movies, but you've got a lot of interaction with the other people at the party, and the sponsor of the event, who's the director of the films, and he plays a nasty trick on me. And because I'm such a diva character, we have also a friend, Dustin Puller, playing the director character. Chris Taylor is the sponsor character. So you have three main characters, and you also have an MC. So it's just a little fun wrap that allows me to pull those two movies into a feature and get it out there as a continuous piece.
I really like that. And you said you're hoping to get this out by the end of the year, correct?
Yeah, we're having a screen in Chicago on September the 14th. So that's a little less than 2 weeks away. Mm-hmm. At the Otherworld Theatre on Clark Street. Hoping some of the cast will be there. I'll be there. Chris will be there. I know Justin and Candice. So a couple of people who were involved in the wrap will be there. And also giving out 20 signed posters to the first 20 people in attendance. We should have DVDs also to purchase at the event. And it's a comedy horror. The wrap doesn't involve any horror elements at all. It's just purely comedy. But the two shorts are comedy horror. And the first short that I shot, which comes last in the run cycle of the film, Conscience, is an homage to Hannibal Lecter. It's a serial killer-esque kind of thriller with elements of dark comedy, but I wouldn't necessarily say that was an outright comedy. But Director's Cut is absolutely a comedy. It has some adult-themed comedic elements in it, and some horror elements, and it's actually based off of a real-life experience of working with a sleazy director in my first feature film as an actress. And so I kind of wrote it as a as a piss take and a revenge on that experience. And some of my actors in this film are from that experience. So there was a lot of inside jokes, if you like. But that's not over the head of anybody who doesn't know any of that. You can watch it and not know the backstory and still find it funny. So it's about a director making a low budget indie horror film. And it's the whole evil genie, you get what you wish for with a twist kind of concept.
Yeah, the entire I think it's called like the monkey paw concept, right?
I'm sorry?
Is it the monkey's paw?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. I wanted to make sure that I had that right.
Yeah, and I play the evil genie. He thinks he's hiring an actress to play a demon, but I actually am a demon.
Okay, that's a really cool concept.
Well, to our listeners, if you are in the area on September 14th, if you're in Chicago, go and see this. Support local film.
We do have a couple listeners in Chicago that I know of, so.
Nice. Yeah, obviously Tubi will have more views because it's free, but I don't know. I don't have a release date yet. We haven't submitted it to the distributor yet because there's still a couple of tweaks that Chris wants to make to the edit. So
We'll go and share the Tubi link when it does come out.
cool. Thanks.
So, it says here that you have a convention on September 9th as well.
Yes. So this coming Saturday in Champaign, Illinois, is Diet Dark History and HorrorCon. It's a one-day event this year. It's usually 2 days, but he can only do one this year. Financial restraints. These events, take a lot out of the person putting it together, and I appreciate that. And also, financially difficult as well. So it's a one-day event this year. So he's called it a diet version, and it's at the Orpheum Theatre in Champaign. And its theme this year is for indie artists. So Chris and I will be there. Rob Mello, Rebecca Reinhardt, Hannah Fearman, and there'll be sorry, it's just the dogs making noise in the background. Yeah, there'll be a few other indie filmmakers, and there'll be authors and vendors. So anyone in the area should check it out. I think it's only $10 on the door. Eventbrite's like $8. So he keeps the prices low. It's Brian L. Ward who runs and organizes the event. And he's a good guy. He works hard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we know Rebecca Reinhardt, actually. We have filmed with her a few times and just always had an excellent experience working with her. So definitely glad that she's getting out there as well. I love horror conventions. They are one of my favorite places to go to, as the boys on the podcast know, because I don't shut up about them when I go. So do you have any other conventions lined up for the rest of the year?
I don't. It's a slow year for me on the con scene, actually. I do as many as I can and as many as I can either afford to vend out or I'm lucky enough to be invited to, and I always appreciate that when I'm given a table. Helps out a lot. We don't make a lot of money at these events. Well, I certainly don't. I try and sell artwork as well as my books and DVDs and whatever. But you have costs to cover as well, especially if it's out of town. Your hotels and your travel and whatnot. So no, very very much appreciated when I'm comped to table. So this year, no slim pickings this year. I haven't approached many, to be fair. I've I've been to Brian's events before, and he's always gracious enough to give me a spot. I often do a local one in Wheaton, the Zirco promotions, but I'm not sure if I haven't heard back from them about their Halloween event this year, so I don't know about that. And also, I don't like to try and do the same ones over and over again every year, especially if I don't have anything new to put on the table.
Right.
Because it's it's overkill and people don't want to see the same people all the time. So I thought I'd take a break until I have something new. Well, actually, I do have something new now. We've double dose, and then wait until I've got more a bit more bang to my name, maybe, or have more new content to pimp. So.
Yeah, definitely. And I've noticed that too. There are some smaller conventions in Indiana and surrounding states that I go to that oftentimes do have some of the same guests. And it is refreshing to see newer faces every year.
Yeah.
And for the listeners' reference, if they would like to follow your journey as you go through more conventions, whether it's this year or next year, how can they find that information as to where you're going to be?
It would basically be on social media. I'm on Instagram at BritFluff, that's just one T, and Facebook more than anything at my personal profile page, and then I have a Bloody Brit Productions Facebook page. I've tried other pages, but people seem to respond better to your personal profile than they do to business pages. So
I have found the same to be true for me. So I definitely do want to talk about the Ripper legacy.
Sure. There's just one other thing I have to mention, but
Mm-hmm.
I shouldn't use that term. Slap my face. So I have been cast in another local movie. My castings are few and far between. Not the want of trying. So hint, filmmakers out there, pick me up. And it's Bishop Stevens, a serial killer feature about the biopic about Derek Todd Lee, whom he plays. So I'll be. I have a small role as a reporter in that, filming in November. So he's trying to garner some attention for that. Right now, it's going to be shooting in Decatur, Illinois, and he's got an Indiegogo. So just wanted to mention that.
Absolutely. Please send the Indiegogo link. We are all about supporting local independent filmmakers because we are independent filmmakers. So we would be glad to share that and help promote it.
Cool. Appreciate that. We all need as much help as we like. I try and share things on my page, but they don't get a lot of traction. But it's weird because people sometimes approach you and say they've seen your posts, etc., but they don't. But they're like silent stalkers because they don't interact or they don't say anything. They don't like or anything post, but they acknowledge it. And that always kind of spooks me a little bit because you don't know how many people actually, especially with the algorithms on Facebook, you don't know how many people actually are seeing your stuff. But they are. It's like, oh, okay. And so I try not to spam and overpost. I'm a terrible promoter. It makes me uncomfortable, to be honest. But I know it. I keep being told it's part of the game. You have to do it and put your salesperson cap on. Like, so I'm trying. But
I definitely concur with that. I'm not much of a promoter myself, or at least I don't consider myself to be the best at it by any means. But I do like to share other fundraisers whenever I see them. I think that for independent filmmakers, it's so important to support each other. And
right.
I try to donate as much as I can, but I'm also a healthcare worker, so I can't donate as much as I would like. So I always try to at least share. Like I said, please do send me the Indiegogo, and we'll be sure to share it on our socials.
Sure. I mean, it costs nothing to share, and that's the way of supporting. It's trying to get outside of the circle of the other filmmakers, because we're all in the same boat. We're all clamoring for the same dollar, which doesn't work because there are so many of us. So it's trying to find the audience outside of that circle. That's the tricky part.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I found that to be true on my end, too. But yeah, so are there any other upcoming projects that you have coming out, whether you have written them or just acting in them?
So we can get back to the Ripper thing now. Yeah, the Ripper Legacy is a script that I finished in spring, and as I said, I'm a slow writer, so it took me several months of hard graft to get this script done. And it's actually the first feature-length script that I've actually managed to finish, because everything else is in various stages of incompletion because something else comes up. Ooh, shiny pebble. I find it difficult to focus, especially when your brain's flooded with new ideas, every other night. So that in itself is a great accomplishment for me, and I'm pretty chuffed about that. So what's next with that? I have been in talks with a producer overseas, still waiting to see if anything is going to come of that. The strikes have been a bit of a hold-up, and when it comes to investment and money, people, they can be very skittish, because I'm not talking about crowdfunding for this one, because I suck at crowdfunding. I can't raise the amount of money that I would need for this. So I'm crossing everything that it will happen, whether it be the end of this year or next year, whether I have to wait till the strikes are over because I might need some named talent attached. I'm going to try my best, if this falls through, to find some other way of raising funds to get it done. It's not a comedy this time. It's obviously it's based on the Ripper. It's more of a thriller. There are dark comedic elements. I almost always have that aspect in my work, kind of tongue-in-cheek. I think it's like the British dry sense of humour. But there's only one film I've done so far which is completely dead serious, and that's the Christmas thriller I did called Visitation, which is around. It should be on my Bloody Brit Facebook page, even though they keep telling me my public domain Christmas music has a copyright notice. Excuse me, it's public domain.
That's Facebook.
Yeah, that's Facebook for you.
YouTube does the same.
Yep.
I've gotten copyright strikes on my own songs.
Yeah, crazy. So yeah, that one's kind of very dark and grim. I was aiming for tearjerker because it involves the death of a child, and some people aren't quite cool with that. But anyway, back to the Ripper. It's called The Ripper Legacy, and it's a feature film. I hope to direct it, and yes, I'm in it as well. I'm a reluctant producer, I would say, because I don't really have the tools to be an effective producer especially when it comes to budget. I've managed to get by with my no budget flicks, and it's hard work, it's stressful. But this one needs a lot of locations, a lot of people, there's a lot of moving parts, and it's more than I can handle on my own, to be honest. So it's set in modern times. I'm not doing, although I really love Gothic period themes, and I would love to do something in that vein one day. This is not it. So this is not your standard 1800 Ripper movie. This is set in small town, modern day America, and I'm not sure if it's because I'm not from this country, but going back to like the movies from the 80s, the Spielberg and Stephen King movies, they all have that old town aesthetic and feel. And even when it's modern, it's dated, you know what I mean? And I love that aesthetic. And I love the community, the small town feel, which sometimes in itself can be creepy. So I'm looking maybe at central Illinois to film this. Several locations that I need, and so my character is me, the middle-aged woman who's related. Family genealogy dates back to the Ripper days, and so it's basically a female Ripper story. There are a couple of flashback scenes of the period day to set up the story of what's happened, and I don't want to give away too many spoilers. And I'm a terrible pitch person, and I'm terrible at telling stories. Chris tells me all the time, you bounce from here to there, you can't tell a story.
I'm the same way. I feel that.
So, but this happens, but before this happens, this happens. Yeah, it's like I'm much better on paper.
Yeah, no, I totally get that.
I've lost my train of thought. So my character basically is related to the Ripper, and stuff happens, and it's, if you want to say a curse, it's kind of like a family blood curse, I guess. But Ripper stuff is still happening because of that, and it actually ties in to my character's 50th birthday. Do I give away more spoilers than that? Not sure, because it's kind of complicated, and you have to watch the movie right till the end before you'll actually get it, because there's things hinted at throughout the story, but it doesn't all come together until the end. I mean, it's not a whodunit. You know who done it,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know the motive, why, So you have to watch it to the end to piece it all together. Oh, this happened because of this. Okay, I get it,
I really love movies like that kind of make you think in a way, and command your attention in that regard. I would like to think that I did that with The First Harvest to an extent. So I fully appreciate a movie that can do that. So I'm very much so looking forward to this. I know that with like the strikes going on, that might affect the production a little bit. But assuming that the strikes were to end soon, do you have a ballpark of when you would ideally like to release this?
To release this, I'd like to shoot it first.
Right.
That's a good point.
A very important first step.
Yeah, Paul, you have to shoot it before you release it.
I'm aware, Matthew. I'm aware.
Well, ideally, I did want to shoot it this fall and before the winter, because I don't really want my exteriors in the snow. Because there's like wooded scenes and stuff, and snow would really mess that up.
Right.
So, I mean, if it was, I don't have a problem being indie and using cycle actors. And to be honest, going completely indie saves a lot of headaches when it comes to all the red tape with SAG. not only does SAG cost more with the contracts, there's all the rules and things, and it's a huge pain in the ass. If you don't have a huge production team and a huge budget, it makes things really complicated. And I'd have more room to breathe if it was indie, and I'd be able to shoot a bit at a time. I'd rather block shoot and not my conscience took a year to shoot, a weekend here, a weekend there. That's not really realistic when it's hard enough to schedule people as it is, but people might change their look, they might gain weight, they might lose weight, women might change their hair. There's a lot of things that can happen in a small amount of time, so you're better off locking in that block. But when there are lots of locations, if you can't get all your locations within a reasonable radius of each other, makes things a lot more time consuming and complicated. So I'd rather be able to say, right, let's shoot this location out in this week and now move on, give ourselves a couple of days break and then move on to the next. I haven't done a shooting schedule yet. I'm still trying to break down my script to see all the logistics of the shooting. So until I can do that, I don't know. I mean, it would be great to have some names, and that was the plan with this one producer if that goes through. But it's kind of a wait and see. And like I said, if that deal doesn't go through, I'm going to be a depressed hermit for a while. I just don't know how. I don't know how I'll do it. I'll try and do some begging or something to try and scrape enough money to rent the locations I need and still get it done. But we shall see. I hope it doesn't come to that, but
Hopefully not.
I've never had to do that for any of my projects. Never at all.
I mean, I've been really lucky so far with the content I've managed to produce and release. Friends have come through and actors have come through with locations that worked perfectly. And if it wasn't for them, if it wasn't for getting those locations and being able to do those films on basically no budget, I wouldn't have anything to show. So I appreciate all those people for their help and support. But if you want to make a name in this industry and you want to try and move up the ladder, as it were, I'm not talking like I want to be a A-lister. I don't need fame and fortune. I just want to be able to make my projects, and I have so many on the back burner. I just want to be able to do that somewhat less stressfully and be able to be a full-time filmmaker and scratch a living. I don't need Porsches and mansions. I just want to survive.
Absolutely, and we absolutely hope that happens for you, for us, for everyone else that's trying to make that their goal. It's an ambitious goal, but I believe it is attainable.
Mm-hmm.
All right, well, do either of you guys have any further questions?
Nope.
No, I do not.
All right, I think that I have asked everything on my end, so Claire, it was absolutely wonderful to talk to you. We do apologize that we were a little late starting this.
Oh, what's 6 minutes?
Well, we're
usually late to our own shoots.
I've been there. I've done that.
You felt that on a personal level, Paul.
Yes. But it was absolutely great to talk to you. Thank you so much for taking the time tonight to call in and talk with us about your upcoming projects. And we cannot wait to see them come to fruition.
Well, thank thank you so much for having me. Pleasure talking to you guys. And where can I see? You said your first film is really. Where can I see your movie?
So as of now, the First Harvest has 2 screenings set up. One is October 14th in Bloomington, Indiana, and then we have another screening on October 19th in Shelbyville, Indiana, which those are the 2 primary filming locations that we had for the movie. And we are hoping, fingers crossed, we can get it on the likes of Tubi. I would like to get it on Hulu if possible. That's kind of my personal goal. I don't know if it's attainable for the first movie or not, but we're going to try to make it happen.
On what? Sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to try to get it on Tubi at first, and hopefully Hulu as well.
Hulu, gotcha. Well, I can send you information on my distributor if that helps. She can definitely get it on, the likes of Tubi, Amazon, and the standard platforms.
That would be a tremendous help, and I can tell you we would greatly appreciate that.
No worries.
All right, well, Claire, again, thank you so much for calling in, and we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night.
Have a good evening, guys. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.
Are we done recording?
I was gonna let you do an outro for this real quick.
Cut out me asking if we're still recording.
Hurry, somebody rip ass.
I don't have to anymore.
The one time, Paul.
I know, baby. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Just gotta make it up to me.
Ooh, okay. I think I can do that.
Promises.
Fuck you.
No, thank you.
This is bullshit.
You couldn't afford me anyway.
Damn it, Paul, do the fucking intro.
I am Paul Allen, and this was an interview with Claire Llewellyn. Please support her work. We mentioned a couple of dates where you can actually go and meet her and support her work directly. So please, if you are in the Chicago area, do so. Thank you so much for tuning into this episode, and we hope you all have a horrendously wonderful night.
Bye.
We have been the Cinema Asylum Podcast. You guys were awesome. Thanks for coming out. God, no.